En garde, monsieur? Oui, yes, en garde, sir.
In the work of Gari Melchers, it would seem in looking at his works, whether they be of his early period or later, that he only paints the things which suit his mood. He has a strong conviction in every theme he undertakes, and with a sturdy technique that is equal to his need, he imparts that conviction with a brilliance of colour and with a strength and simplicity of pattern, which cannot help but strike a responsive chord in those who look upon his works. He does not dally with irrelevant things, but the essentials are set forth in his works clearly and unsparingly. From the outset, his work was of a robust character. Not only was he influenced by training to the new movement of realism which, beginning with Carpeaux, had swept over Europe, but his own practical mind and his matter-of-fact temperament. He is a keen observer of life in its everyday aspects, and to get at the truth is the thing he strives for. Whether his theme is a peasant mother nursing her child, a simple, devout woman at her prayers, the portrait of a fashionable woman or distinguished gentleman, he gets at the inner consciousness of his sitter, and the real beauty in his art is the vivid revelation of the true character of his subject. Gari Melchers was born in Detroit on August 11th, 1860. His father, Julius Melchers, was a sculptor and woodcarver of no little repute in this locality, but he is chiefly remembered by a large circle of men who have since made names for themselves in the fields of architecture, the fine arts, and commercial art. In his day, there were no opportunities for the art student in a city of the Midwest, and Mr. Julius Melchers undertook to provide this need in Detroit. He instituted a class in drawing, and he must have been an inspiring teacher. Born with an inherent taste for art, Gari Melchers' boyhood training was directed by his father. At the age of 17 he went abroad to study, spending 3 years at the academy in Dusseldorf, and completing his student days at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris under Lefebvre and Boulanger. Taking up his residence at Egmond-on-the-Sea in Holland, he entered the first stage of his career, finding the native folk of Holland well suited both to his temperament and to the realistic tendencies of the painting of that day. Beginning with an honourable mention, won in the Paris Salon of 1886, to be followed 3 years later by a Medal of Honour, he has a list of awards to his credit which includes most of the honours to be won in European capitals, as well as those of America. It would seem in looking at his works, whether they be of his early period or later, that he only paints the things which suit his mood. He has a strong conviction in the presence of every theme he undertakes, and with a sturdy technique that is equal to his need, he imparts that conviction with a vibrance of colour and with a strength and simplicity of pattern which cannot help but strike a responsive chord in those who look upon his works. He does not dally with irrelevant things, but the essentials are set forth in his works clearly and unsparingly. Dealing as he does for the most part with the themes of everyday life, he nevertheless is able to imbue his works with a deep humanity and a fine sentiment. Note, if you will, his portrayal of the maternal instinct of a Madonna, or the mother and child, or the all-pervading caress in motherhood, or the deep fervour depicted in the communicant, or the reserve of masculine power in the fencing master, yet quite without sentimentality. Through the bare reality of the genuine article, he divines a sentiment that is universal, and puts this in visual form as few painters have been able to do. Since 1914, Mr. Melchers lived continuously in America, except for brief excursions abroad. He established a home in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where he has built a fine studio, and in some of the landscapes, particularly those of springtime, he gives us his joyful reaction to the scenes of his beloved land. He also maintained a studio in New York City, where he takes care of the many portrait commissions that would come to him. It was noted that, while Mr. Melchers is ever alert to the changing conditions in the world of art, his own painting is unaffected by outside influences. Built upon strong inward convictions, he has steadily pursued his course, and any change in his work is only the deepening of his art that comes with long experience. The regard in which he is held by the younger generation is exemplified in the fact that he has been repeatedly re-elected president of the new Society of Artists, which had its beginning a few years ago as a reaction among the younger painters and sculptors against the dolorous restraints of the Academy. Mr. Melchers, in covering every phase of his working career, show how varied has been his workmanship and yet how steadfast he has remained to his own ideal. From the very outset, Melchers' success was assured, and no American artist, not even excepting Whistler or Sargent, has been the recipient of more or higher distinctions at the hands of foreign juries or governments. Among the honours which have fallen to his lot during the course of a few industrious years are the Gold Medal, Paris Salon, 1886, Grand Medal of Honour, Paris Salon, 1889, Grand Gold Medals in Amsterdam, Munich, Vienna, and Dresden, and Grand Medals of Honour in Antwerp and in Berlin. Settled first in Brittany, but later moved to northern Holland, where he found perhaps his most congenial field, and where he has painted numerous phases of Dutch life. Gari Melchers has firmly established his place.